There's a range of different needle sizes that you can use on these industrial straight sewers. So if you have a look here, this is the size that's currently in all of the machines. It's a size 80/12. That's what we call it, either a 12 or an 80 size needle, which is a medium, and it's suitable for most of the sewing that you'll be doing in here. This little number here, like this number here, signifies that it's for this machine. All machines, different sewing machines, have different needles, so you can't use the same needles in all of the machines. This SES signifies that it has a ballpoint tip, and we've just made the decision to use that on the machines. It works for just about every type of fabric, including knit fabrics, and having the ballpoint tip is important when you're sewing with knit fabric so that you don't pierce the yarn, which then can cause a hole in your knit fabric. So that's why we use these SES needles. By comparison, if you have a look at this packet here, this is a sharp needle, so it has a sharp point. It's fine for sewing with woven fabrics, but if you use it on a knit fabric, it will put a hole in, when it pierces the yarn, it will cause a hole. So we tend to not use those, and unless we were having trouble with a particular fabric, we might try a sharp to see if it made a difference, but that's very rare. So we have 70 or 10s for the fine needles, which are good for sewing with silks. We have the 80/12, which is good for most fabrics, most cottons and synthetics. And then we have a large needle here, which is a 90 or 14, so the numbers there are getting bigger. And that's good for if you're using a top stitching thread. It's a slightly bigger diameter needle, and it also has a bigger hole in the tip, which allows the thicker thread to pass through it without putting any strain on the needle. So the bigger the needle, usually the thicker the thread that you're using, or the thicker the fabric as well that you're needing the needle to pass through. So I'm going to show you how to take an old needle out and how to insert a new needle. So this needle here, I noticed it's blunt on the tip, so I've run my finger down the edge and I can just feel a burr of metal on the tip. So this happens when you sew onto a pin, or you hit metal of a zip or anything like that. It will blunten the tip of the needle, and then it's no good for sewing. It can cause, if you continue to sew with it, it can cause the stitches to jump, so it will miss a stitch, and you'll just have all kinds of problems with it. So we need to take that needle out. So I get my screwdriver out of the drawer. I've got this little screw here which is used to hold the needle in place. So I'm just going to unscrew that. Just one full turn is enough. You don't want to take it out all the way because you'll lose the screw and it'll drop on the floor and then you won't be able to find it. So just one turn is enough to release that needle down. And then you need to put that old needle in the sharps box, the yellow sharps box, which is in each of the studios. And then I'm going to get a new needle out. I'm going to use an 80 because I'm just sewing with calico, and an 80 is fine for that. Now when I'm looking at how I put the needle in, you can't tell by the top end of the needle because it's just completely round. There's no flat back the way there is with a lot of domestic machines. So what you need to look for instead is, I always look for the ditch that's down near the tip of the needle. There's a little cutout section, and that little cutout section, what it's for, it allows the bobbin thread, when the two come together, the needle and the bobbin thread come together, it allows the bobbin thread to sit in at the back of the needle in that ditch. So regardless of what machine you're on, you want that ditch to be facing towards the bobbin. So when we look at the machine and look at where the bobbin is sitting in here. So we want the ditch to face towards the inside of the machine. So when I put it in, locate the ditch, and it needs to be at 90 degrees to the front of where you're sitting. That ditch needs to face perfectly to the side. And you won't actually see any of the hole of the needle if it's placed correctly in there. Make sure the power is off when you're doing this. You don't want to accidentally knock the pedal and then hurt yourself. Be careful with the tip. You don't want to blunten the tip before you've even got it in the machine. And then place that up so that that is facing to the inside of the machine, and then we're going to tighten, hold that with our left hand and tighten the screw. Okay, and that's our needle in position ready to go.